Right now, as you watch this, a chemical reaction is happening inside your body, quietly, continuously, without any pain, any symptom, or any external sign. Sugar molecules in your bloodstream are attaching themselves to your proteins, your collagen, your elastin, your artery walls, your brain cells, and as they do, they are changing their structure permanently, stiffening them, damaging them, aging them. This process has a name. It is called glycation, and scientists studying it have called it one of the primary biochemical mechanisms of aging. Today I am going to show you the hidden timeline of what sugar does to your body, not just your weight, and not just your blood sugar. I mean what it does to your skin, your arteries, your brain, your kidneys, and your eyes over weeks, months, and years. Every stage is documented in peer-reviewed scientific research. And at the end, I will give you evidence-based steps to slow this process and reduce the damage that has already accumulated. Because glycation can be slowed, and the sooner you understand it, the sooner you can act. To understand the hidden timeline of sugar aging your body, you first need to understand one biological process: glycation. When you eat sugar, whether glucose or fructose, some of it enters your bloodstream and travels throughout your body. Most of it is used for energy. But some sugar molecules react spontaneously with nearby proteins and fats. This chemical reaction is called glycation. The products of this reaction gradually accumulate into what scientists call Advanced Glycation End-products, or AGEs. Here is the important part. AGEs are largely irreversible. Once a collagen fiber has been altered through glycation, it cannot easily be repaired. It remains stiff, dysfunctional, and continues to accumulate over your lifetime. Collagen is the structural framework of your body. It is found in your skin, arteries, kidneys, eyes, joints, and many other tissues. Because collagen naturally turns over very slowly, these damaged proteins remain for years, sometimes decades, progressively stiffening and aging the tissues that depend on them. The rate at which AGEs accumulate depends largely on how much sugar circulates in your bloodstream and how often your blood sugar rises. Every meal that produces a significant spike in blood glucose accelerates this process. Now let's look at the hidden timeline of how excess sugar gradually ages your body. Let's begin with your skin. Your skin ages from two directions at once. One comes from outside, through ultraviolet light. The other comes from inside, through glycation. As AGs accumulate, they bind collagen and elastin together, making these structural proteins rigid instead of flexible. Collagen can no longer bend and recover as it once did. Elastin loses its ability to spring back. Over time, this leads to deeper wrinkles, sagging skin, reduced firmness, and the dull yellow appearance commonly associated with aging. These changes begin developing as early as your 30s and become much more noticeable throughout your 40s and 50s, especially in people who regularly consume high amounts of added sugar. Next are your arteries. Healthy arteries expand and contract with every heartbeat. But as AGs accumulate inside their walls, the collagen becomes stiffer and the arteries gradually lose their elasticity. This increases blood pressure, places greater strain on your cardiovascular system, and contributes to the development of atherosclerosis. Long-term studies have found that people consuming the highest amounts of added sugar have a significantly greater risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared with those consuming much lower amounts. Researchers have also shown that reducing added sugar and refined carbohydrates can improve many of the metabolic abnormalities associated with heart disease. Now consider your brain. Growing evidence suggests that chronic insulin resistance and poor glucose regulation may contribute to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. Several large studies have found that higher sugar consumption is associated with an increased risk of dementia. Scientists believe glycation contributes by promoting inflammation, oxidative stress, and the accumulation of abnormal proteins within brain tissue. Although these studies demonstrate strong associations rather than definitive proof of cause and effect, the biological mechanisms are increasingly well understood. Now let's look at your kidneys. Your kidneys filter roughly 180 liters of blood every day. The tiny filtering units inside them rely on collagen-rich membranes to function properly. As advanced glycation end products accumulate, These membranes become thicker, stiffer, and less efficient at filtering waste from the blood. This process is well known in diabetic kidney disease, but it also develops more slowly in people without diabetes when glycation accumulates over many years. Your eyes are also especially vulnerable. The lens of your eye is made primarily of proteins that remain with you for life. Unlike many tissues in your body, these proteins are rarely replaced. That makes them highly susceptible to glycation. As AGEs accumulate, they reduce the transparency of the lens, contributing to the gradual development of age-related cataracts. Now consider your joints. Cartilage, the tissue that cushions your joints, contains large amounts of collagen. As glycation damages this collagen, cartilage becomes stiffer, more brittle, and less capable of absorbing stress. Over time, this contributes to the progression of osteoarthritis and reduced joint mobility. When you step back and look at the entire timeline, the pattern becomes clear. Within weeks to months, repeated blood sugar spikes begin raising insulin levels and triglycerides. Insulin sensitivity gradually declines, while low-grade inflammation begins to increase. Over months to years, advanced glycation end-products continue accumulating throughout your skin and connective tissues. Your skin gradually loses elasticity. Your arteries slowly become stiffer. Your kidneys begin losing some of their filtering efficiency. Across decades, these effects compound. Arteries continue to harden. Blood pressure rises. Brain tissue accumulates more glycation damage. And the long-term consequences of years of excess sugar become increasingly visible throughout the body. So how much sugar are we actually consuming? Health organizations recommend keeping added sugar intake relatively low. Yet the average person consumes far more than those recommendations. Much of that sugar is hidden inside foods people never expect. Sugar-sweetened beverages remain one of the largest sources. Flavored yogurts, breakfast cereals, pasta sauces, protein bars, and even fruit juices often contain surprisingly high amounts of added sugar. Many people exceed their recommended daily intake before lunchtime without realizing it. The good news is that glycation is not completely beyond your control. There are practical, evidence-based steps that can slow this process. The first is reducing your intake of added sugar. For most people, eliminating sugar-sweetened beverages is one of the single biggest improvements they can make. Replacing just one sugary drink each day with water removes a remarkable amount of added sugar over the course of a year. The second step is choosing foods that produce smaller blood sugar spikes. Vegetables, legumes, whole grains, proteins, and healthy fats release glucose much more gradually than refined carbohydrates and sugary foods. Another simple strategy is combining carbohydrates with protein, healthy fats, or fiber. Doing so slows digestion and reduces the size of the blood sugar spike after a meal. The third step is changing how you cook your food. High-temperature dry cooking methods such as grilling, frying, roasting, and broiling create large amounts of advanced glycation end products inside food itself. Moist cooking methods such as steaming, boiling, poaching, and slow cooking produce far fewer of these compounds. Adding acidic ingredients like lemon juice or vinegar during cooking can reduce their formation even further. The fourth step is eating more antioxidant-rich plant foods. Foods such as berries, leafy greens, olive oil, green tea, citrus fruits, and many colorful vegetables contain natural compounds that help slow glycation and reduce oxidative stress. Finally, exercise regularly. Every time you exercise, your muscles remove glucose from your bloodstream to use as fuel. That lowers blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, and reduces the amount of time glucose spends circulating at elevated levels. Less circulating glucose means less opportunity for glycation to occur. Let's bring everything together. Every time you consume excess sugar, some of those sugar molecules permanently attach themselves to proteins throughout your body, in a process called glycation. The resulting advanced glycation end products accumulate over your lifetime in collagen-rich tissues throughout your skin, arteries, brain, kidneys, eyes, and joints. This gradual buildup contributes to wrinkles, stiff arteries, higher cardiovascular risk, impaired brain function, declining kidney performance, cataracts, and joint degeneration. But this process is not fixed. The speed at which it occurs depends heavily on your daily choices. How much added sugar you consume, how often your blood sugar spikes, how you prepare your food, and how physically active you are. You do not have to eliminate sugar completely. You simply need to understand what excess sugar is doing inside your body and make informed choices that slow the process. Because the biology is already happening. The only question is how fast. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.